It's past time to expose the Democrats and Republicans for usurping liberty and freedom. What you are about to hear is the amalgam of passion and truth. This is the Southern Liberty Radio Show. Welcome, Liberty Defenders of the world, to this Monday episode of good old Southern Liberty. And you know how we do on Mondays? We do the little federal rundown. We run you in here, we run you out of here, run you over there. But we're going to tell you what's going on with them people up there, because them people are always naughty. They're always naughty. They always convince people that they have your best interest in mind and pass laws to usurp everything you've known, whatever you want to call it at this point. I don't even have words for the egregious activities that they do to usurp our rights from us. But this is why we are here, to put it in ether and talk about it. Show's gonna be a short one. There's not much to talk about because they decided to be pansy asses and decided to go home in August.
Like it doesn't happen every year.
Every year.
Every year.
I need a break. I gotta go home. This legislating is so hard. Yet when you're only in session 120 days a year, so hard being in session for 120 days. I need an August break. Oh my God. No, you're setting up Kabuki Theater. You've been setting up Kabuki Theater all year. And then you got all kinds of surprises. September surprise, October surprise. All kinds of surprises. Go ahead. Come on.
Like the rest of us can't use a damn vacation. Come on.
Man, vacation, what the hell that look like?
Right. I haven't had a vacation in years.
How's things up there in the Palmetto?
Wet.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I'm checking for pin feathers. Quack. Quack, quack.
Well, we do have we do have this storm.
Erica, yeah.
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron or Erica?
It's a storm. It's Aaron.
Is it Aaron? I just put it down as Aaron. E. I track the formation of them, so it just goes by the first letter until it makes landfall.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
That they are projecting Aaron to be the first hurricane of this season.
Yeah.
So,
well, from what I'm seeing, it looks like it may be the first one to track up the East Coast in quite a while. It looks like it's gonna come in, and this is way out in the Atlantic, guys. So this is just preliminary.
Yeah,
but from what I'm seeing, she's on a trajectory to come in between Jacksonville and Hatteras. So, but that's just what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to yank the map up here real quick.
Yeah.
So everybody can be informed. All my folks. You know how we do. One more again. Getting popped up on the screen here.
Yeah.
The sun will come out tomorrow. So this is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, y'all can see the track.
Oh yeah.
So this is definitely one of those tracks where it will do this thing right here.
Yeah.
It's just gonna do this thing right here.
Yeah.
So those of y'all that are even, those y'all even. I mean, I would even say, you folks that are in Dade County, northern Dade County, all the way up.
Yeah.
Up through Duval, Chatham County.
Yeah.
In Georgia, all through there, Glenn County. Y'all, make sure you got your stuff together. I know it's early.
It is early.
Got your stuff together, ready to go. Because when this thing gets closer, it's supposed to pick up a little bit of speed too. So don't get caught with your pants down. All right. So go get your stuff. If you don't know how to get your stuff, check your local weather station for a list for a preliminary hurricane kit.
Yep.
Also make sure you keep fuel. That's a big thing. Keep
Absolutely.
fuel, 100%. Keep you a couple of full gas tanks, gas jugs. Make sure you keep them full,
Yeah.
if you can, et cetera, et cetera. So just
Make
be
sure
ready.
you
Be good and ready.
make sure you got all your batteries in place and make sure you got everything. If you need to evacuate, do. If you don't. Okay? It's just up to
Yeah.
you, and it depends on the strength of the storm as she comes in. They're calling for it to become a Cat 3 right around Friday afternoon, Friday night.
I'll find the other model real quick.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll maintain that strength, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, Publix, the grocery store, for those of you who don't know who aren't in the Southeast, Publix has an excellent list. You can also go to your local, either fire station or emergency management office, and they will have not only a list, they'll also have your evacuation routes, on map there for you, or they can tell you how to do it on an app if you just do it on your cell phone. But yeah, all of that information is publicly available, and Publix is a great source. Thanks for that, Marlene.
I'm not gonna drag out the show
No,
trying to find.
no,
This was
don't
just
worry
random
about it. It's just
that
one of those
actually
things where
popped up.
it's not that far off the coast of Africa right now. We're good for at
Yeah.
least another week. But, if you're on the southeastern coast between Dade County and I would say all the way up into Carteret and Craven counties in North Carolina, just keep an eye on it and start getting your shit in line. Start getting your boxes.
Yep.
Because
Getting your
this is not
boxes,
going to
getting
be
plywood lined up.
yeah, this is not going to be the last one for the season. We are just now hitting peak hurricane, so yeah. And the peak
Yeah.
won't actually happen until mid-September into early October.
Right. So we'll see. Hopefully
Yeah,
everything stays in the Atlantic as they plan, but
I hope. I absolutely
we'll
hope,
see.
but it is what it is.
Yep, that is what it is, 100%. We got a couple things to run through here real quick.
Yes, sir.
Um, uh, they're apparently
Mhm.
they're still introducing legislation. Now, I want people to know, even though they're not having votes, there's still there's still congressmen and women that are submitting bills,
Mhm.
right, during this break. They're not all going home, right? But they're
Yeah.
submitting bills, all that good stuff. And then obviously we're going to talk about the controversial topic at the end
Yeah.
of this here. So first things first is we're going to slide into this real quick. HR 5201, Freedom of Association Act of 2025.
Mhm.
This bill is in the House Committee on the Judiciary. It was introduced by Representative Scott Perry, a Republican from Pennsylvania. And this bill is about association rights by limiting federal restrictions on private organizations. HR 5223, State Land Management Act. This bill is in the House Committee on Natural Resources. It was introduced by Dan Newhouse, Republican from Washington. Wait a minute, did I just read that?
Yeah. That's what it
Wait a
says.
minute. Wait. There's an elected Republican from Washington?
He must be from the eastern side of the state.
Yeah, he's from the eastern side of the state. Yeah, I'm sure he's Spokane out that way.
Yeah, probably.
Spokane and Moses Lake and that area. So
Yeah, I'd say probably around Moses Lake.
mhm.
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, he introduced this bills to transfer certain federal lands into state control. I mean, let's do the whole thing. Let's don't do Washington. Let's do the whole thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're not going to spend time on that. We have HR 5245. This bill is called the Healthcare Cost Transparency Act. This bill is in the Energy and Commerce Committee, introduced by Representative Greg Murphy out of North Carolina. And this bill mandates federal price transparency for medical services. Next, HR. What was that?
I said I like it.
Oh, yes, I think we
Yeah.
like it a lot. HR 5267, Parental Rights and Education Act. This bill is in the Committee on Education and the Workforce. This bill was introduced by Representative Mary Miller, a Republican from Illinois.
Mhm.
Restricts federal influence over state education curricula. I mean, look, why is this coming so late?
Yeah. Yeah, this should have been
Right?
introduced at least 2 years ago.
It should have been introduced before No Child Left Behind.
Well, I
They shut
agree with
that
that.
off,
However,
and
you know
then
exactly what was happening then. I mean, they were gonna
I
exert as
know,
much federal control as they could.
but but I know, and they continued it because they wrote ESA,
Mhm.
right? Got repealed.
Yeah.
No child, one child left behind, and
Yeah.
it literally just. Anyway, that's another policy discussion for another day.
Yes, it
But
is.
yeah, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing
Yeah.
with that. HR 5289, Border Patrol Autonomy Act, which is now in the committee on House of the committee of the House, the committee House Committee on Homeland Security. Yeah, security.
Uh-huh.
And this was introduced by Representative Tony Gonzalez out of Texas. And this bill is to limit federal mandates on state border patrol cooperations.
Okay, now,
Okay, come on.
this is the first time that Tony Gonzalez has bothered to do anything with the border.
Mm-hmm.
He is facing a pretty good candidate for opposition who just announced yesterday. Brennan
Right.
Herrera is gonna be running again against Tony Gonzalez in Texas for District 23 because of this horse shit. Because Gonzalez has done pretty much nothing as far as the border is concerned the entire time he's been in office.
Right. That's
The only
right.
reason he's doing it now is because there's a re-election campaign going on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see if I can pull up their congressional map. There it is.
It's huge. It's the biggest
Yeah, it
district in
is.
Texas as far as I know.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull that up right now for everybody to check it out.
Yeah.
That's the one right there. So that's Tennessee 23. That literally
Texas
is the literal
23? Yeah.
Texas border. Yeah, this is Texas 23. Yep. This is
Yeah.
literally the border. This is literally all of Texas's border, except for maybe 100 or so miles right here
Yeah.
on that border. So yeah, he's just now talking about um passing a bill to
Yeah.
just wait a minute. What's this? Sorry, y'all. I squirreled on you.
Yeah.
What is?
That's
Wait,
the
what's
Texas border with Mexico. Yeah.
right? But what district is El Paso?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll look into that later. I
Yeah.
was like, how does
That's
he not
interesting.
have
I
El
didn't notice that.
Paso?
Yeah. I thought that El Paso was part of District 23.
No, Texas 16.
I'll be damned.
Texas 16. I'm curious. I'm not I'm not going to be in rabbit hole mode, but I'm
Yeah.
curious
Yeah.
on how this. What is this?
Maybe because it's one of the bigger ports of entry. It may receive its own congressional district because of that.
Yep, I think that's it. I got the map right here. I think that's what it is. 100%.
Because you got Socorro, you got El Paso, and it's right there with Ciudad Juarez, uh, just across the border. That's one of the biggest border crossings in I know in Texas, but possibly in the
Yeah.
Southwest.
So that's Texas 16. Let me make it a
Okay.
little bit bigger. There we go. So yeah, it is. That's 23 comes all the way around this. So yeah, 16 is its
Yeah.
own district.
Yeah.
El Paso, Horizon
Horizon
City.
City. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Huh. And see, I thought El Paso for some reason was District 23, but it would make sense
Right.
with the port of entry and everything else there at El Paso. That would make sense that it would have its
Hmm.
own district.
Right. Anyway, we digress from that point.
Yeah.
Um, we're we're gonna hang out over here a minute, but yeah, you made a good point about Tony Gonzalez. Who
Yeah.
the guys running against him has some pretty decent creds. So
Yeah.
um, we're gonna wait and see how that turns out. Um,
Absolutely.
HR 50, HR 5312, Small Business Regulatory Relief Act.
Mhm.
This is in the House Committee on Small Business, and this was introduced by Representative Roger Williams out of Texas. And this bill is to reduce federal regulatory burdens on small businesses. Um,
Yay.
let's see, we got HR 5334, Veterans Benefits Access Act. This is in
Mhm.
the House Committee on Veteran Affairs, introduced by Representative Mike Bost out of Illinois, and this is to streamline the federal benefits to veterans. Simple enough.
Yep.
Um, HR 5356, State Energy Choice Act, and this bill is in the House Committee on Energy and Commerce.
Mhm.
Um, this bill was introduced by Representative Jeff Duncan out of South Carolina.
Hey,
Um,
Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Allows states to opt out of federal energy regulations. HR 5378, Election Security Standards Act. This is in the Committee on House Administration, introduced by Representative Laurel Lee out of Florida.
Mhm.
This sets the federal election security standards. I gotta stop a minute.
What this does
Why?
is sets federal election security standards. Now,
Hmm.
yeah, that's a little bit of an overreach because that's supposed to be state run. The states have the obligation to run elections, not the federal government.
Correct. Correct. States have to impose their own security standards on the elections, not the
Yeah.
federal government.
Yeah,
This should be a
this is
hard
gonna
no.
be yeah, this is gonna be tabled immediately probably and not run again.
Probably won't. Last but not least of our bills
Mhm.
introduced this week, HR 5401, the Rural Infrastructure Investment Act. This bill is in the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, introduced by Representative Samuel Graves out of the state of Missouri. Yeah, if you know, you know.
Mhm.
And this bill funds rural infrastructure projects to bland, because it is literally like a few lines, like literally. So
Yeah.
that's all it's supposed to do. I don't know what the purpose will be of that, but yeah, here we go. Excuse me. That came on fast and furious. Um, there we go. Well, so we have the. You want to do the federal the court stuff real quick? You want to go
Yeah.
over that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we can, especially the first one. The first one that we have now, these are federal court decisions that have come through between the 4th and the 10th of August. Okay. Um, the first one is Citizens for Fair Elections versus Georgia. The question before the court is, does a Georgia election law requiring stricter voter verification violate federal protections under the Voting Rights Act? The court, which was basically in the Middle District of Georgia, said that, yeah, it doesn't violate it. And I would actually say that the Fair Elections Act that was passed in Georgia actually made it easier for people to vote because it was the biggest turnout Georgia had ever had in this last presidential election.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
All right. The second one is Privacy Advocates versus DHS. The question is, does a federal surveillance program violate the Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches? On August 4th, the District of Columbia Court issued an injunction citing privacy violations. In other words, yes, it does violate Fourth Amendment protections. So this was decided in favor of privacy advocates.
Mm-hmm.
State healthcare autonomy versus HHS. Does a federal healthcare mandate imposing hospital regulations violate state sovereignty under the 10th Amendment? This was decided August 6th by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the court upheld state exemptions, prioritizing state autonomy. The thing is there's a summary here, and it says that it potentially fragments national standards. I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. But that's just me, and I'm not a judge.
So I mean, there was a case, right, and that they cited in that, right. It was Adams versus the School Board of St. Johns County, Florida.
Yeah.
And in that particular case, right, the argument was on the phrase "on the basis of sex." This is where this gets interesting, right? Because if they can create arbitrary language as such, right? Now I can't even speak. The plaintiffs, which they did argue, which is a good argument, that the rule exceeds HHS's statutory authority, calling it arbitrary and capricious in their amicus, right?
Okay.
Violating the Constitution's spending clause, right? So from that angle, right, the plaintiff would be right, but we have to also remember, the Constitution is Supreme Court of the land, and all laws, blah 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 blah, supremacy clause, right? All that, the things. I'm going to pull off a Biden,
Yeah.
things, right? But anyway, HHS argued that the rule that they were interpreting, right, actually comes from the ACA, right, Section 1557, prohibiting discrimination based on gender identity, right? So this whole thing here, what these people tried to do was try to slide in a provision for, lack of better words, transgenderism into this bill. Y'all can go and go.
This is okay. So this is the one that Nancy Pelosi was talking about the other day, when she was talking about inserting federal law regarding transgender affirming care for transgender youth. I'm sorry. No, the federal government should not be involved in this at all.
That's exactly correct. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just figured.
No, you're good.
I figure I'll throw that out there.
The next one I have is Tech Freedom Coalition versus the FTC. The question before the court is, does a federal regulation on tech company data practices exceed Commerce Clause authority, infringing on individual privacy? And that's a good question. The Northern District of California struck down the regulation, citing privacy concerns. Now, one of the questions basically is, by limiting federal regulation, does it disrupt uniform data regulation? And create,
I would think so.
And create inconsistencies. I can't talk tonight, guys.
That. I can't either, so don't worry. I'm in the same boat.
I mean, it's a really good question. I'm glad they struck it down. I mean, because privacy concerns, if you use the Commerce Clause for every single bit of communication and for data, yeah, that's an issue.
Yep, that's a big issue.
Okay, the next one that I have is labor union versus the National Labor Relations Board. Does a federal labor rule restricting union organizing violate First Amendment associational rights? The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals blocked the rule, citing constitutional violations. That's rather interesting.
Well, I mean, freedom of association is freedom of association, right?
Uh-huh.
Because it's just like any other rule. Like if we talk political parties, right, in the same context, right, because
Yeah.
they have association rights also, right? It's like it's like there's it's like creating, in this case it'd be like creating a federal election law
Mhm. Yeah, it would.
restricting, right, the organization of political parties, which could easily be done. People don't realize how easy that can be done right from the FEC and hold weight.
Yeah.
This is why I'm glad the FEC is independent, should be an independent board, but we
Yes, it
know how
should be. Look,
independent
a lot of these should be independent.
it should be, but we know how that operates.
Oh,
If
yeah.
it's not operated by the citizens, it's not independent. But anyway, I don't mean to hold you up. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, you're good. Let's see. The next one I have is Environmental Alliance versus the EPA. Does the EPA water quality mandate infringe on state sovereignty under the Clean Water Act? Mm. On August 4th, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals halted the mandate, affirming state authority. Now, this would limit federal environmental mandates, okay? But the question is does it weaken national water quality standards and impact public health? That's a really good question.
I don't think it would. I mean, because they still have like federal government just can't, you know. Well, let me put it this way,
Mhm.
and I'm just gonna put it in the way, if people are fishermen or whatever will understand this, right?
Mhm.
Any navigable water within a state is public water.
Yeah.
Okay, federal government has no jurisdiction if the water is navigable, right?
Yeah.
With right, so the question, right, of limiting federal environmental mandates, right,
Mhm.
you know, is not going to weaken national water standards, because in the first place, 9 times out of 10, your state water standards are higher than what the federal government is anyway
Yeah, they are.
in most places. But that's just my two pennies rubbed
Yeah.
together, trying
And
to get
I
my
agree I
opinion.
agree I agree with you on that, but again, we're coming back to the question of state versus federal as far as waterways and water sources are concerned. Navigable waterways, they changed that definition under the EPA. And then
Right,
they changed it back because it was, my God, the lake that forms every time it rains out in my front yard, if we get more than an inch or two of rain, I've got a lake out there.
right,
And that becomes a navigable waterway under the EPA rules that existed, which is
right. That is true.
stupid.
Right. That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, the state rules are more stringent, I guess I would say.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, all right, I have Immigration Rights Group versus ICE. The question is does a federal immigration detention policy violate due process under the Fifth Amendment? This was decided on August 6th in the Southern District of Florida. The court issued an injunction citing due process violations. I don't agree with that at all, but that's just me. They're stating that it safeguards individual liberty by protecting detainees' rights, but challenges federal immigration authority. And that potentially allows states like California to continue to
Be sanctuaries.
be sanctuary states and
Mm-hmm.
cities and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with the Southern District of Florida on this. It does not violate due process rights. Sorry. It just doesn't.
You're right.
Okay, taxpayers' rights versus the IRS. Does a federal tax policy on small businesses violate state fiscal autonomy under the 10th Amendment? The Southern District of New York upheld the policy, rejecting state objections. I think they may lose on this one. This is going to be appealed. The ruling limits state sovereignty by prioritizing federal tax authority, but promotes uniform economic rules. potentially
Okay.
benefiting businesses while reducing state fiscal flexibility.
Can I smell something?
Uh-huh. I do too.
What was I smell overreach.
Mm.
That's the
Well,
that's the outrageous
I
thing
was
to me.
gonna say there ain't no horses around here, but okay.
Yeah,
Um,
right? There's a lot of bulls, though. There's a lot of bulls,
oh, there's a
okay?
lot of bulls. There's a lot of bulls.
Mm.
Okay, free speech advocates versus the state of South Carolina. South Carolina. Carolina on my mind, y'all. State of California. Does a California social media content moderation law violate First Amendment free speech protections? The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals struck down the law citing constitutional violations. The ruling protects individual liberty by safeguarding free speech, but limits state authority to regulate online platforms, potentially setting a precedent for federal oversight of state laws. Now,
Mhm.
I disagree with that part of it. The federal government has no right to oversee any state laws when it comes to free speech, nor do they have any right to set laws, period, when it comes to free speech.
Mhm.
That is specifically protected from the government by the First Amendment.
Yep. The law we just passed in Florida,
Yeah.
they're 16 years or older to have parental consent. That's
Yeah.
going to get struck down.
Yes, it will.
So is the
Yes, it
one in
will.
Texas. That one's
Yeah.
getting struck down too, just because of this ruling.
Yep. There's another one. I think they're going to put that forth when they come back into session here in South Carolina, put one very similar for it, and we'll
Mhm.
see what happens. Okay, the last one that I have is the state budget defense versus the OMB. Does a federal budget cut affect Does a federal budget cut affecting state grants violate the Administrative Procedure Act? In the District of Columbia, the court blocked the cut, citing procedural violations. In summary, the ruling protects state sovereignty by preserving state funding, but challenges executive authority to implement budget reforms, potentially delaying federal fiscal policy changes. Okay. My question.
Uh-huh.
Budget reforms and budget cuts, federal fiscal policy changes, aren't they supposed to come through Congress and not the administrative?
Well, we have to
It-
remember the Administrative Procedure Act. We have to remember, right? That's the piece of legislation that allows the executive branch to basically write rules that hold the weight of law,
Mhm,
right? So with specifically state grants, right? Affecting
mhm.
state grants, right? Because that's again, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think right now. I know what I'm looking for. I know how I need to
I
say it without going around the merry-go-round times.
It's that
Um,
old-timers,
some timers, too. Old timers, some timers. It's all
half-timers,
timers. Mm-hmm. Um,
half-assers.
that too. That too. Um, so I guess let me word it this way. Let me word it this way,
Sure.
right? When the funding comes over from Congress, the appropriations comes over Congress, the executive branch has to do their thing and move the money around and put it where it needs to be.
Yeah.
If you make a cut, let's say there's a state grant for Save the Panthers in Florida, right? Let's say
Mhm.
that for example, right? And that's a state grant that's funded by federal money.
Yeah.
Okay. If they cut off that money as promised, and okay, I know which part of the APA. I need to refresh my mind what part of the APA that is. Give me a second. Give me 2 seconds,
Okay.
and I'll tell you what that is.
Sure. I mean, because it would also apply to the Board of Education, would it not?
No, it would not. It
Okay.
would not. Um,
Because those budgets were cut at the administrative level as well. No, JT, there's a reason I'm not familiar with Newscomb. I'm not going anywhere near California. Sorry. Beautiful state.
Uh,
Government sucks.
Government suck. I can't read all that right now. I
No.
can't read all that right now real
No.
quick. Because I know what section I'm looking for, but I have to. I'll
You
get
have
to
to
it.
go through and pick the section out. Yeah.
Yeah. So they block they block the cut, citing procedural violations, right? Which
Mhm.
more than likely means one or two things, right? One, there's a statute
Okay.
surrounding state grants from the federal government that was not followed in lieu of the Administrative Procedure Act,
Okay, and
right?
that would make sense.
Right. That's kind of where I want to go with it, but I wanted to give the full context, so I don't, because it sounds like I'm giving a half answer, and I don't like doing that. But that's basically in a
Yeah.
nutshell what happened
Okay.
when it came to that. So
Well, and that seems to be the way it is going when the administration is struck down as far as their decisions are concerned. It's usually a procedural violation. It's not like they didn't follow a rule in this particular area of the law.
right,
It's not because it's a wrong thing to do. It's because there was something violated, a particular rule that was not upheld or admitted to.
right. There it is. I found it. Look at that.
You got it?
So yeah, so it's two things that's included in this, right? You had the Federal
Mhm.
Grant and Cooperative Agreement Act of 1977,
Yeah.
right? Which provides federal funding distinguishing between a grant and a cooperative agreement and a contract, and then you have Title II of the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 200, where it gives the government-wide regulations from OMB to constitute the framework for how federal grants are administered. So that's what they're citing basically
Okay.
as the procedural violation
Okay.
in that, right? So that's
Okay.
hopefully that completes the whole complete answer on the thing. It just hit me
It
right in the
should.
forehead. It's like there it is right there.
Okay.
So we're right here. So what are we doing? Oh, we're at the end already. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
That was my last
So
one.
look, let's talk about the elephant in the room for about 5 minutes.
Sure.
What do you think about DC taking control of MPD?
I don't have an issue with it. I told you that Friday. Yeah. I don't have an issue with it at all. And that's just me. You know, it's one of those things where when your city mayor and your city council won't do a damn thing, when your judges are sending the kids who have been actually convicted of crimes off to do underwater basket weaving instead of into the jail system, that's a problem for me. They need to clean up their system, and the only way to start that is to start clearing the streets of the thugs and the criminals.
Mm-hmm.
You got too many people getting hurt out there.
Yeah, yeah. And for all the naysayers that are against this,
Yeah,
I want y'all to keep in mind you weren't intended to live there in the first place.
agreed. All of those
You,
people standing out in front of those buildings singing.
um, also want to remind them, right?
Mhm.
Um, that even though you're in DC, you
Yeah.
are stateless.
Yes.
You are stateless. And I don't mean stateless like you're not a state. You literally belong to the federal government.
Yes.
Directly belong to the federal government.
Yeah.
You don't
Um,
operate as a state to have
no,
be a citizen of DC. You can never be a citizen of Washington DC.
no.
But
And
I
yeah,
digress.
Rico, statehood talks are coming, but it cannot be a state. I agree with Brianna on that.
No,
It is
it'll never
it's
be a
the
state.
federal city, period.
Yeah,
You
it'll
know?
never become a state
Yeah.
because and the thing. Let's talk through this process. I've talked through it before, right?
Sure.
And a lot of people have never heard it, right? See,
Mhm.
first things first, right? How did DC get its autonomy? Right? DC Home Rule Act of 73,
Yeah.
right? Set up council whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah.
So that would be that's first thing is first, right? You would have to repeal that, right? And I wrote a piece about it on the Patreon about the DC Home Rule, the history, and all that stuff. Y'all know me. You know, I'm gonna be on that.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. I didn't make sure I get that right.
I think the thing that most people don't realize is from
Okay,
the
there we
very
go.
beginning, Washington, D.C. was never meant to be a lived-in city.
Right.
It was there basically for bureaucratic and administrative purposes.
Yep. That's it. So if we go back, right, we get rid of, okay, let's go back to the constitutional standard. Let's go back further than that, right?
Sure.
Because I'm talking out of order, right? So
Yeah.
we got the constitutional amendment, right? The
Mhm.
capital should be 10 miles square, which is 100 miles,
Yeah.
right? 10 miles square. In 1847, right, there's a thing called the DC retrocession,
Mhm.
which basically is everything on the southern side of the Potomac River, which is the
Mhm.
Virginia side, went back to Virginia.
Yeah.
They claimed their land, and Maryland, they kept the Maryland side of the river,
Yeah.
the way you see it shaped today. Now, even then, they tell you, right,
Mhm.
that the people in DC are stateless. Period.
Yeah.
They don't have a state. They fought long enough. Oh, statehood. No, you're not going to statehood. We'll give you home rule,
Mhm.
but we're still the authority
Yeah.
over said square, right? Now they're fighting for statehood.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about the statehood process. It can't be a home rule city and become a state,
Mm-mm.
right? They would have to repeal Home Rule Act of 73,
Yeah.
right? What's the second thing they'd have to do?
They'd have to go through the entire process of going to a constitutional amendment to add another state.
No, no.
No?
Before you even get there, before you even get
Oh,
there.
that's right. You have to Isn't that one of those things where you have to vote on it, number 1, as far as the city itself is concerned, as to whether or
No.
not they want to get statehood.
Mm-mm.
They
No.
don't even have to do that?
Nope. It's something a little bit deeper than that.
Okay. Then what is
There's
it?
one thing you would have to do, right? The enclave clause, right?
Okay.
And if I remember, y'all get your constitutions out. Article 1, Section 8,
Okay.
Clause 7, Clause 17 is the enclave clause, right? And off the
Okay.
top of my head, without looking, I want to say Congress shall have the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square, as made by a secession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of government of the United States. If y'all get your constitutions out, let me know if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right, and I don't have a constitution near me by me whatsoever. So
Yeah.
I think that's close to that clause. That's the important clause, right? Because that's the clause that created DC, right? You would have to either rip that out of Article 1 and get rid of the enclave clause, or you would have to update the enclave clause. You would have to amend it. Neither one is going to happen.
And I'm reading it to find it, and it's like, okay, I can't see it.
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17.
I may be just missing it. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So I think before, okay, 1, 2. You got me counting in my head now. You got me counting in my head, Lord Jesus. 8. I'm trying to think. What's before 16 is before 16 is going to be, I'm trying to count it in my head. Organizing the militia clause is before that. 16, Congress shall have the power to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and it's after that clause.
Okay.
Is that one. And then you have before the militia clause is, why am I counting this backwards?
I don't know.
It's easier to count it backwards because it's just easier that way. For me, I had the militia clause itself is 15.
Oh, I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, I see it. Okay.
So that the enclave clause is the clause they would have to amend.
Okay.
To even give the
So
possibility.
they'd have to go all the way into Article 1 for that.
Yeah. So now, but here's the tricky part. If you repeal the enclave clause, what happens to the land on the Maryland side of the river?
That's a good
because
question.
There's no more federal district, right? Because right, the land would go back to Maryland. Mm-hmm. Right? The land would go back to Maryland.
Yeah. Well, it would have to. Because it would no longer be part of the federal. It would have to revert to the state.
Correct. There's no more federal district, and James Madison made the argument for the federal district and Federalist number 43. Even though I am an anti-federalist per se, but he made the argument for the federal district and Federalist 43. Why? Right? Why spit on public authority? You know what I'm saying? Meaning the state of Maryland itself is who he was basically mentioning in Federalist 43 by, taking their land and saying this is ours without creating any. So that's how the enclave clause got into the United States Constitution.
Above and beyond that. And I'm looking at this from a practical standpoint. Mm-hmm. Washington, D.C. was never meant to be populated.
Right, correct.
It was never meant to have housing projects. It was never meant to have apartments or houses or condos. You had some housing there for the bureaucracy, military, for obviously for people who had to be there year round, people who were staffing the buildings and things like that. But you did not have any outlay as far as that was concerned for people to actually live there.
Right. That's correct.
And all of a sudden, we've got a bunch of people gypsying in and saying, we're just going to live in D.C. and we're just going to call it a state later because we need representation. No, get your ass back to Virginia or Maryland and do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm sorry. It's not meant to be a home. It is meant to be a capital.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Our legislation was never meant to be there year round. They were there to do a job and get the hell back home to their jobs.
Mm-hmm. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to the part-time legislature.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Right. Do it like Texas did. Call them in session every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Get your mess done and get back out and go back to your job.
Yep. That's it. Hey, we got to close this thing out. Appreciate you. All that good stuff. Appreciate everybody in the lovely live chat and all that. Make sure you've not subscribed, all that good stuff. Park it in the click. If you haven't gone to the Patreon, go park your behind over on the Patreon, patreon.com/TOLMF.
Yep.
Make sure you do that. And with that, remember tomorrow, experience today, me and Miss Val. As I always say on Monday evening, I don't know what the show's gonna be about until I find out later in the day. So you'll know when I know. And those of you that had children go back to school today, hopefully y'all had a successful school launch day.
Yeah. First day of school.
Yeah.
If your kindergartner does like mine did, I walked him into the classroom door. He turned around. He turned me around, put those little hands, both of them on my ass, and pushed me out and said, "Bye, Mom." Yeah. Yeah. That was a long time ago, but it was, it's a funny memory. So, but yeah, good luck to all those parents having youngins going to school for the first time. It's always fun.
Yes, Lord. With that being said, remember, love your neighbors, love your family, but ultimately, if you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. Peace and love, everybody. Good night.